7th Grafton Public Schools School Committee meeting. I opened the meeting tonight at 7:02 p.m. And first on our agenda is public comment. Do we have any public comment tonight? Okay, great. Then I'm going to move right on to general business, and I'm going to invite our distinguished principal of the high school, yes, Kevin Carney.
25 years.
Well,
Thank you, Mrs. Austin. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me back. I think for tonight's agenda item, it's pretty straightforward. We have a couple matters of business to take care of, but I think the last time I was here a month ago, we went over the program of studies, and we made a recommendation for all all graded credit-bearing courses to be a GPA factor. And there was a request to make language clear so that you knew what you were voting on, obviously. In the program of study, there is a section that makes it very easy, I think, to follow rather than tuck it in multiple places. So I think under page 7, there's a page designated for course levels, and it really provides the description from college prep to honors to advanced placement in early college. So at the end of that section, I highlighted it for you, just that all graded credit-bearing courses will have a GPA factor of college prep, honors, or advanced placement / early college weight. If a level designation is not provided in a course description, the course is given a GPA factor of CP weight unless otherwise specified. So I think that makes it clear for students and parents to make sure it covers an umbrella that we don't miss anything. I did say that, you know, we were considering, and I thought it would be great if we could do it retroactive, but after talking with our students and some of our students and staff, they believed, and I agree with them, that it's probably more fair starting it next year and moving forward. We probably do have students that probably didn't do as well as they could have in years past, and if they knew that it was going to impact their GPA, they could have done better. So we're not looking to harm anyone with this change. So I think what's most fair and equitable is to make this change moving forward, starting in the fall semester of the 2024-2025 school year. The other factor is we're hearing that it could be complicated when you're trying to do things retroactively with 3 grade levels. It increases the margin for error, and we don't want to take that risk either. Any questions? Yes.
So the document says the GPA factor change will not be retroactive to SY 24-25.
Yeah.
But you just said, and that's not retro anyway, right?
Before,
That's this fall.
yes, but before 2024-2025. So anything before 2024-2025 will not count, meaning if it was not designated to be a GPA factor before 2024-2025, it won't. As of 2024-2025 and moving forward, it will.
Okay.
So I think that language would be more clear if it
That
said
language in
before
italics
instead
is
of
not
to.
for the handbook.
It's not going in.
Okay, just so we're
Just
all
the
clear on what we're
highlighted
saying.
part.
I just want to make sure.
Just
Okay.
the highlighted part.
Awesome.
So if you would like to take a motion on that, that would be wonderful.
well, thank you, Mr. Carney.
If somebody wants to get out of here.
Taking over
No,
the
this is
meeting.
for you.
I
This is for our
appreciate
students that have
that.
AP tests this week.
Are there any other questions from
Yeah.
Mr. Carney on this? Mrs. Spinney?
I'm just trying to think this through, and I just wondered if there's any complication in making this change in reporting GPAs for the kids who are about to apply to college. Is there any explanation required or anything like that? Or is it just a simple matter
No,
of
it's this.
calculation of the
This action
GPA from the school?
will cover this. So when college admissions offices will be looking at transcripts, they have the option to look at the weighted transcript and unweighted. We can provide both.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? I had several families reach out to me about this, and everything I heard was positive. And many people kind of talked to me after your first presentation to us, and people really appreciated the work that went into it and could see the benefits for their kids. I personally didn't hear any concerns
My only concern was with respect to the retroactivity, and so I'm glad to hear that you took that off the
Yeah.
table, because I felt the same way you did, that there may be some kids who maybe would have worked a little harder in art if they had known that it was
Right.
gonna count, so I think that's fair.
Well, I don't like to change the rules mid-game, right?
Yeah, that's not fair.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
that's
not
the,
fair.
it's not, but I think in the long run, it leads to more equitable and exciting kind of opportunities for our kids to maybe take some classes that they may not have already
Right.
thought about taking that could expand their horizons. So if there aren't any more questions, I will entertain a motion now.
Let's see. I guess I just have a
A question on
question
that?
as to exactly how we need to word this.
Say
um,
to approve,
Because it's not just the
Can I take a
handbook.
shot?
What's that?
Can I take a shot?
Yeah.
Madam
Well-
Chair,
yes.
I move that we accept the changes to the program of studies for the school year 24-25 as presented.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Carney, and your team. I think that's a
Thank
great
you.
move forward for our students.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
now, we have the handbook.
Correct. So this is a unique year where there are so many school committee policy changes and updates that our school council felt that it was most appropriate to let those be the dominant changes. I think they are anyway from one year to the next when we're talking about policies and procedures of a school. We try to tightly align them to your school committee policies. So what we've done is pretty much taken that new language and new policies and tuck them in and replace. Usually, every year we come forward, we give you a change document. Well, these changes cover pretty much every corner of our parent and student handbook. So I've given you the full draft, shown you where those new policies fit in our handbook as they stand, with, I think, 4 minor adjustments that's not connected to your policy changes. And they are vision of the graduate to replace Grafton High School 21st century expectations. You've heard presentations on that earlier in the year. It was part of our NEASC work over the past 2 years. So it's kind of the same thing, but it takes out the century. We're already a quarter of the century into this one. So it's time. It's dated and it's time to change those expectations. And it was inclusive. Obviously the students, the staff, the greater community weighed in on what those characteristics and values are. So we've simply just replaced that in the handbook. Another update was, instead of just having parents call the office or send handwritten notes, we created an email address that if your child is going to be absent, it's an easy, and it cuts down, selfishly, it creates fewer phone calls too from coming into the school. It's an easier process and it's already on record. So that explanation has been added as a draft as well. Global Connect, it's funny the things you find in a handbook, even though you're doing annual revisions. I don't know what Global Connect is, but it came before Swift K-12 that I've been using for the last 5 years. So, and in the meantime, while I was planning on changing it to Swift K-12, we've changed again and we're going to Bright Arrow. So just to inform our stakeholders of the system that we're using in communication. And under student clubs and organizations, that was outdated, titled Gay Straight Alliance to Gender Sexuality Alliance. So very minor changes for the most part, but there are massive changes, obviously, when it comes to school committee policy, and that's going to take time for, administrators are so used to living inside of policies and being the experts on it. For parents, administrators, students, this is enough to digest in the upcoming year. Now, this will be up to you and the superintendent. I don't know if we're asking you to actually take a vote for this revision tonight, because over the summer, we're going to take this handbook in draft form and making sure that it's aligned to all of the schools so that it's easy for our parents and students to follow. So the final draft of this probably will be concluded in August. But in the spirit of it, it's done of what we're putting in and taking out. Questions?
Any questions? Liz?
I don't really have any questions, I think the approach that is proposed, that you're proposing is a good one, because we have to, there's some work to be done to align everyone and go through that over the summer, which I think is great.
One teeny little thing I noticed, since this is still in draft form, I think there's a couple of references to quarters in here still. Tiny little thing, but I just thought I'd bring it up since.
So I think, if I'm not mistaken, and please, obviously, I didn't see, what's it called again? Global Connect after 5 years of being here. So if you've identified something that I didn't see, please let me know. But I think there was some discussion about leaving the quarter mark in there as a reference point, because it does relate to eligibility for student athletes. We're on semesters, but the quarter marks of November 15th and March 15th are where those quarter marks would fall.
Yeah, I remember that, but it was actually in reference to calculating valedictorian and salutatorian where I saw it.
Correct.
Which I
So we
thought
could change
had
that later, but
switched
in the
that to
spirit of
semester.
that, that's when
Oh, so
we
you wanted to
decide.
align that with,
Yep.
you still did? Oh, okay. I thought the decision
Yeah,
had been
we
made
make
to
that-
do it.
Right.
Do that.
Sometimes there's
September-
some, maybe
semesters.
extensions that we're waiting for things to be submitted.
Okay,
We're talking about decimal points here.
yeah, okay.
When
I
it
thought it
comes
was just
to
for
the
athletes,
announcement
okay.
of valedictorian and salutatorian.
Yeah,
So that's why we hold that mark.
okay, gotcha.
I understand.
Any other questions? Riley, any thoughts on the handbook?
I did have a question about the graded classes. Does that still include like gym and health, or is that
Yes.
just for art? Okay,
Yeah.
so like physical. Okay.
Right. So I think one of the arguments that we made last month, Riley, was, if health is a high school graduation requirement and the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education requires it, why aren't we counting it as an equal course to others,
That makes sense.
especially?
Kevin, while we're re-looking at the handbook this summer, are there thoughts on how to make it a little more digestible or accessible? I mean, I'm sure that and I'd be happy to do some research on this, but just, it's so in-depth, and I think it's one of those things that people, we have to sign it and everything, but I'm sure a lot of people haven't read the whole thing. And I wonder if there's ways we can digitize it where people can like click and that's above your pay grade and mine, but click on attendance or on bullying and just be able to kind of like get to it a little easier. And that's probably a Neil discussion.
There should be, I thought that
Does that
capability
happen?
was there.
It's in the
So
table of contents.
It is,
it
the
is in
table of contents is
but
clickable.
it's not all of them work properly now.
Right.
I think the links need to be double checked, but that's doable.
But again, that's
Yeah.
the summer work, because
Yeah.
these, as you found with your own policy manuals, they can get cumbersome. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
after a while, some things are pulled out and some things are added, but it gets to a point, okay, let's look at this in its totality. Many school districts face this where people change, things change after this process, this timeline of approvals through the school committee, and addendums are added. So they don't even fit in the right place. They go at the
Right.
end of the handbook, or they're a separate document altogether. So I think the summer provides a good opportunity for all the schools to look at this together to see how it can be most user-friendly for parents.
Yeah.
What we can't sacrifice, though, and the bulk of this is legal,
Right.
legal references, right? So I'm sure legal counsel will have their advice as to where these things are placed. Not everything is easy to follow, but they're placed there for a particular
Sure,
reason.
no, you can have both though.
Right,
too,
right, for
Right, you
sure,
can
yep.
have like frequently asked questions, you can have, you can think about it differently.
Yep, I agree.
Is all I'm thinking. But I think it's great work. So tonight, it probably sounds like it'll be come back into the fall, maybe, or late summer for an official approval. We can approve the draft as received, so we have something on record, that we like the direction.
Right, yeah.
I think that would be my recommendation to the committee. Does that work for you, Kevin?
Works for me. It's up to the boss as to, you
Yeah, I
know,
think
when we
that's a good
fully
idea.
align everything.
Madam Chair, can I move the committee accept the minor informational changes as presented to the student?
Second.
Is that how we
that
want to
work?
say it, or do we need to
Well,
refer to this being a draft?
I'm
in draft
loath to say
form.
it's a draft because there's a lot of other issues with it. And so I don't want to accept it with, I found a whole list of things that I emailed Kevin. So I would not vote to approve it as a draft because I don't want that to be out there that we approved this, even in draft form.
So what are we, I'm sorry, can you restate what you're proposing?
I'm proposing the minor informational changes that were in the memo, the 4 things that he elaborated on. And I can't find it right now.
That's right, yeah.
The changing of the name of the student group,
Mhm.
The 21st century expectations, global.
which we've already
Connect,
approved,
Yep.
And reporting absences.
Yep. and the Global Connect Bright Arrow.
Yep.
That's it. Rather than approving the entire thing as a draft, just approve those minor informational changes tonight, and then we can approve the whole thing later.
That gives you what you need, correct?
Could I make an addendum to that motion? Well, I think one of the things I was
Hold
hearing.
on, we have
Oh,
a motion made.
No, I know, yeah.
And then a second, and we can discuss it. So
Okay,
can I
sure.
have the, did I have a second to Amy's?
I did second it.
Okay, so motion made and second. I'll open up for discussion. Thank you, Liz.
Okay, thank you. I was going to suggest we add to the motion to give Mr. Kearney kind of the approval of the direction that this is going, just, that the school committee approve the direction and the plan presented tonight to move forward with the handbook.
If I can just provide some
Was presented.
clarification, so if you are approving the things that we just, separate from the school committee policies, you're accepting them to be added. So I think those elements could be counted as a vote for first reading that you, at any meeting, before the final draft of the handbook is finished, probably in August, that's out of the way by the time we get to August. The only thing that's still debated are, you know, your alignment of school committee policies into the handbook. So if you're voting on the spirit, it doesn't really count because you don't have clear documentation of you know, that would need a first reading and a second reading for approval, if that makes sense.
Do we usually have a first and second reading for the
For the
handbook?
handbook, we don't.
We haven't had this
Okay.
kind of issues before
Yeah,
on a
yeah.
first and second. So, I mean, I,
Just
we-
hold off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just hold off.
Yep.
Yeah.
We can do it in August.
I think it's fine. I mean, the thing is the spirit of the handbook is still in for this year, so we have time. So, I think we strike the motion.
I withdraw the motion.
Thank you.
Okay.
We thank Mr. Carney for his work.
Thank you for having me.
We look forward to hearing more, and if we need to help over the summer, get a subcommittee together or anything, let Dr. Cummings know, and we will do that.
Thank you, everyone.
All
Have a
right,
good
thanks for
meeting.
coming.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, and Jay is up, and he's gonna present, Some stuff. Well, you know what I meant.
No, we don't, we're just.
I was giving you the hint to please withdraw your motion. Can we please have our next guest speaker tonight?
All right. I was planning to do a full presentation to go along with the memo that's in the school committee book dated April 11th, 2024. In a frustrating yet very good thing happened today, and I'll kind of walk you through where we stand. Jumping to the end, what we're going to get to is that memo is going to be revised again because of what we kind of figured out today. And I'll try to walk you through it and ask me questions as we go. I'm trying to be very transparent and still be very transparent and explain in simple terms what hasn't been particularly simplistic, to be quite frank. So, NESDEC, as you know, is the statewide, really, New England organization that does all of our enrollment forecasting. They do it for, I don't know of a district that doesn't use NESDEC. They have one arm of the organization, that's all they do, and they do a great job with it. We have an ongoing contract with them. Every few years, they will take a look at birth rates. They come in, they work with the planning department. They get all of this data and they spit out what we can expect they do it over the next 30 years. They very appropriately say the next, 3 to 5 years is really pretty accurate, and they've been spot on so far. Super helpful, great. They break things down into approved projects currently under construction, approved projects that haven't begun construction, and then projects in the approved pipeline. Out of all three, I think of them as almost lights, like the green light, they're already up and running. Yellow is, it's probably gonna happen. And then red, maybe a darker shade of yellow. In the pipeline, we don't get too worried about that. There are literally projects that have been in the pipeline for 30-plus years in Grafton. And then they look at projected student yield, so the projects that are under construction and well on their way, they know, and they've got all of these formulas as to how many students. They can't obviously pick if it's going to be a kindergartner, a third grader, or a high schooler, but they're really good at figuring out the number of students that they can forecast. So again, the green, the yellow, and then we just keep an eye on those in the pipeline. The big factors for them are the 3 and 4 bedroom units. Like the 1 and 2 bedrooms, that doesn't faze them much at all. They get factored in, but it's the 3 and 4 bedroom projects that are most impactful for us. They look at the density of the area. Higher density usually equals fewer children. Housing costs, obviously, the higher the rent and the mortgage, less likely to have school-age children. And then they're very focused on that timeline of completion. And that's where we're struggling to figure out that right now. And because of that, you can basically rip up, short-term, the memo from March 11th. So,
April 11th. April 11th? or
I'm
March
sorry.
11th?
Madam Chair?
yeah,
Yeah.
April
Can I
11th.
just ask one question?
Of course.
Can you go, oh, you're right there.
Yep.
Do you have an understanding of why a higher density generally means fewer children? Like, what is that attributed to?
I don't remember off the top of my head. There's a paragraph it's either in their memo or in their last full report to us.
It seems counterintuitive to me
Yeah.
personally, so I just
Yep.
want to understand it.
I
Thank
think
you.
maybe yard. People want a yard for their kids and higher density, maybe. I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
was feeling like it would double, like, higher density would often be 1 to 2 bedroom apartments, but then you're sort of double dipping in that same,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I don't know. There is a paragraph, if not a page, in that report. I didn't make this up.
Okay, no, I know you didn't.
Um,
Thanks, Jay.
No, so I'm going to go through this quickly because this isn't going to hold up, and I'm going to show you why. So basically, this came out in that memo that you saw. Definitely kept me up for numerous nights, thinking 252, 328 students. That's huge. We don't have the room or the capacity for that type of thing. And then we had the ones in the yellow, potential student yield. The whole story was just like, holy smokes. Set up a meeting with the town administrator, met with him. This was last week. He was equally concerned, and I think he stayed up at night as well. We set up a meeting with the planning department because, again, when NESDEC, I'm not absolving myself because it's in my role, I can't do that. But the way it works is NESDEC works with the planning department. They share communication that doesn't go through me, is not approved, et cetera, with all of the details of the units. I think where we got caught up, and I'll find out for sure tomorrow, I've already reached out to NESDEC and obviously had the meeting today, was the definition of completion.
Right.
So I saw Highfields and High Points on this, and I actually spent a part of a Saturday driving around to look at the different projects. And there are some big projects that, looking at just the road going in, I'm thinking there might be 5 houses. There's one off Adams Road that just seem to go on and on and on. So I'm gonna get to it in a second. We are still gonna have to deal with increased enrollment, but nothing at the rate that we were led to believe for a few weeks. So, long story short, in the yellow, Highfields and High Point Estates is on there. When I saw that, I know where both are, but was thinking they must be increasing the size and scope, and there's a field next to it, or, whatever, an expansion. In meeting with the planning department, they said, no, they're considered a project under construction because the actual roads, like they're 95 to 99% complete. Everybody that's gonna live there is already living there. We've already absorbed those students. But the roads aren't town-owned. Whatever formality hasn't been checked. So I'll figure out where the communication breakdown was between these two parties, but while it's been stressful, that's a wonderful thing for us. That though in those, as you can see, are 3-bedroom units and 4-bedroom units, easily the most impactful. So, met with the planning department today. That was very beneficial, not only for this immediate issue and straightening this out, but going forward with the town administrator, we're gonna do a better job working together for us being the school department, to have a better sense of not just what's under construction, but when that impact, like when do moving trucks start showing up, that type of thing. Where they are, what schools they lead into. That will be great for us. I've reached out to NESDEC. I did that this afternoon. Haven't heard back from Karen Leduc, but I will tomorrow. After the meeting today, Planning Department gave a much more detailed, basically a rebuttal, for lack of or a response memo to what was in the NESDEC memo. So we're gonna work with NESDEC and marry the two. I've already asked NESDEC to redo the memo based on the updated information and get that to us. At the next meeting, I'll give a full presentation on it. And I think that's it. Any questions?
Liz?
Okay, so what's the bottom line? How should people take this information that was
Yeah,
presented
we're gonna have an
tonight?
increase,
It's-
I guess a few things. We're gonna have an increase of students, that we know for sure. We don't, at the given moment, know how many students and don't have a forecast of what grade levels. We're going back to the drawing board, if you will, with NESDEC and the planning department. And at the next meeting, I will present hopefully a finalized memo and forecast.
Anybody else?
I have a question. Are those the only two that are impacted, or more of these projects?
I did receive the memo maybe an hour and a half ago, so I haven't gone through it fully.
Okay. I think Cortland Manor is mostly done also.
I just wrote that down.
That's what I like.
Yeah, it
I-
very
I
well
think
could
they have a
be, but
couple of
I don't
lots,
want to
but-
sit here and say it with any kind of certainty. But those are obviously
Yeah.
the two biggest.
Yep.
Yeah.
But any of the others, that would be fantastic.
So, okay, my takeaway is more information to come.
Correct.
We'll
And I
have
had
to
shared
do-
this, I put it in the book.
Yeah,
Like,
Thank you.
yeah, in
if I had
preparation.
had the planning meeting last Wednesday, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation, but I want to be just very transparent
Yeah,
about it.
appreciate it, and it's nice that it's not as big a worry as we thought it would be. That doesn't happen
Yeah,
very
yeah.
often. So we'll take it. All right, well, thanks for the work. Let us know if you need any help with anything.
Good catch, Jeff.
Yeah. Okay. Jake, can you, oh, great. I think I'll just go there. Can I go there?
Yeah.
Do you need your computer?
No, I don't.
Okay. Unless you want to, I'll just go there. All right. All right, so we have our annual, I have to adjust the chair. We have the annual evaluation of Dr. Cummings. Thank you to the committee for getting all your information on time. And thank you to Lou Boudiette for helping organize it, and thank you to Jay. So the evaluation this year was fairly straightforward. Most of the goals are 2-year goals, so we all agree that we've seen significant progress on the literacy, and we're looking forward to kind of seeing what happens next. Same on your second with the math improvement of 10%. We've seen significant progress, but we understood that it was a 2-year goal. Professional goal, there was one exceeded with this goal, and for METS about the new director model, and that came out in some comments that I'll share at the end as well, people's thoughts on it. And once I'm done, obviously presenting, the committee is welcome to share any additional comments that they'd like to make as well. This is all of our review, but I like to just organize it so it's easier to discuss. Oh no. I'm gonna type a word to look up. Evaluation. The making of a judgment about. No? Yeah, there we go. No, I'm so Microsoft. Okay. And then first standard, Dr. Cummings got rated a proficient, 2 exemplaries and 3 proficients, but that averages out to proficient. I wanted to share one comment that a member made. Under Dr. Cummings' leadership, the district has made huge strides this year in improvements in curriculum, collaboration among staff, and measuring student progress. The purchase and implementation of the STAR assessment tool last year has yielded very useful data that teachers and instructional support teams are using to inform classroom instruction down to the individual student level. The teaching and learning and curriculum development teams are continually improving at every grade level in every building under Dr. Cummings' leadership. So good job to that. First, management and operations. I would say 3 exemplaries and 2 proficients, so that averages to an exemplary score. This is a longer comment. I don't probably need to read it, but one of the highlights of this comment, in addition, Dr. Cummings' approach to the budget and fiscal responsibility cannot be matched, utilizing a budgetary process that is marked by transparency, ensuring stakeholders understand our financial decisions. And we get not nearly as many questions as we used to about the budget. People have really begun to understand it, and we've also empowered many members of the community as well besides us to be able to answer questions, which I think has been as a result of your actions, Jay, and you really being able to break down the budget when you present to us and to the finance committee. So great work on that. Standard 3, family and community engagement. You were rated proficient this year, and many people on the committee mentioned the value of additional counselors in the schools and the wraparound services. People did note that while we continue to see chronic absenteeism, like all districts statewide, you've been instrumental in collaborating with family, staff, and others to attempt mitigation of this issue, and we've seen communication only improving with more regular superintendent newsletters, and we know that's also because of the addition of Mandy, so thank you, Mrs. Late, for that. And the principals for continuing their weekly newsletters, they're all standard now, using some more, which is really nice to go from building to building, and that you obviously regularly engage with families, and you create a culture that encourages other leaders to do the same. I think we can share, we've seen, we talk about the traffic duty, we sort of joke about that, but it's such a great way for you to interact with the middle and high school students and really get to know them. You stepped up to coach the Model UN, you coach track, and if you could do more and fit it into your schedule, you probably would, but what that, at least to me, says, it's leadership from top down. You step up, and there's nothing that you wouldn't do for this district or the schools or this community. Professional culture was rated exemplary with 2 proficients and 3 exemplary. And this is what I just kind of spoke about, but Dr. Cummings, through example and openness, sets the bar for the rest of the district. The teachers and students that I've spoken to are proud of what Grafton schools are and are also always looking for ways to improve. Student feedback and suggestions are taken seriously and valued, which is rare. He also is willing to put in great personal effort to support goals where they identified. A great example of this is our own student advisory that we partake in with some high school students. We've seen the addition of clubs. That's actually where it came out of you coaching the UN. The students have been empowered to train and go down to the middle school and help with some communication and to bringing the students up. So we're really seeing student voices heard and impacted across the board. That's just one example. And then some additional professional culture comments. There are some typos. I apologize for that. I can fix that. Jay strives to create a culture that is healthy, rigorous, and positive. Our teachers, nope. That is left over from when I did this 3 years ago. I'm going to delete that. We did not have regular half days this year, although I would always be open to that. So apologize for that. Any other questions, comments, things people would like to share from their review?
You captured it all.
And we took a look back. Back in time from 2020, who nobody wants to do that. Well, Jay, I think your review speaks for yourself. The town of Grafton, Jay's salary isn't actually tied to his review. That's a separate, of course, it plays into it. So tonight we don't discuss any additional salary, but this will go to, is this a copy of goes to
thanks.
Desi, correct? And
Yep.
thank
Yep.
you for all of
Yeah.
your hard work and all the work that you do. And I know you don't do it alone. You'll be the first to admit that. So you're
Just
an
gonna-
amazing team.
I was gonna say that.
You know,
Just thank you all for the support and the feedback. Truly, anything that is positive in the evaluation goes back to, I can't think of one thing that I do on my own. So it really does go back to support and hard work of everybody. Mandy, central office, our entire staff is second to none. So thank you.
thank you. Yeah.
Actually, Laura, I thought of something
Liz.
I'd like to add. There is one very impactful change that I think that you made this year that I just wanted to mention, and that is the connections. I know you've been talking a lot about connections, and I know you've made a real concerted effort to improve the connections between faculty and staff and the students, and I've noticed that a lot. I've heard that from students who feel like they have better relationships with their counselors in the schools. I hear it just, every once in a while I'm at a lacrosse game or something and I just talk to the kids and ask them some questions. How's it going? And I am hearing from them that there are things like in the middle school, the teachers are just sitting down for a chat with them in the middle of lunch. And it's little things like that that add up to big differences in the lives of these kids. And I want to thank you for your leadership in that.
Thank you.
And I also want to point out, the presentation was just to highlight the entire, which has everybody's comments and additional standard as well, is available for the public, which is one thing I always commend you on, because I'm always grateful that my review at work is not subject to public scrutiny. So I think that it's amazing, but the town can also have the opportunity to review. So thank you, and thank you again to the committee. Great work.
Thank you for coordinating, Laura.
Oh, great.
Thank you. Thanks for using your computer. It's been a while since I've touched it now. All right. Okay, and we're gonna move right on over to the superintendent report.
All right, just wanted to report on some of the countless things. I might be stepping on your toes here, Riley. That we have a super busy week. This time of year is crazy, but this week was really something. It's only Tuesday. We had the scholarship night last night at GHS. Over $70,000 in scholarships were given out. It was really, really well done, I thought. Really moved along, but in a nice way. So that was terrific. Tomorrow night, we've got National Honor Society And we've got the comedy night at the Townhouse Tavern. I wanted to thank Christy Kilpazinski for organizing this great event. Also thank the Pagets and Townhouse Tavern for hosting. All of the funds raised through that event are going to go to that CARES account, which it helps students and families in need that are part of the Grafton schools. So really impactful, great event. Thursday, we've got Everyday Heroes at the high school, and then that's it for this week. And then next week, Grafton is taking part in Special Olympics. We do that every year. Every year it's really great. This year, the Blackstone Valley, all of the districts in Blackstone Valley are participating and making it like a much bigger deal. Kind of like we're not having any meetings on that Friday morning. Everybody's going to try to get some staff. Tons of students are going to go. It's kind of an all-day Special Olympics track and field event at, I think it's at, I'll put it out for sure in the newsletter, but I think it's Leicester Middle School. Thank you. So that's exciting. It was always a great day, but I think this year it's going to go just above and beyond. And did I say Everyday Heroes? If I didn't, Everyday
did.
Heroes is Thursday night.
Yep.
It's worth saying it again.
Right.
And that's all I have.
Okay, great. Riley,
All right. I did have some similar things.
you can say them again.
All right. It's okay. I have a couple more too. This week was the first week of AP exams starting yesterday. I think we talked about last time we had moved to kind of excuse the rest of the day for after the AP test, and then that also got moved to before the AP test too, if it's an afternoon. And we've had like a lot of people. I had today. I didn't have to go in until 11:15, so I went to the library to study before my exam, and that's great for everyone. It relieves a lot of stress. People can sleep in, and I think that should lift some stress off students. Next week, starting on Thursday, we have the overnight New York trip with the history department. We're going to be seeing the 9/11 memorial, the UN building, and more. And then NHS senior night is tomorrow. Athletes have been notified if they're going to get an award at the Sports Awards night, which is May 22nd in the GHS auditorium, and I believe it's at 6 p.m. And then we had the blood drive last week. We filled every time slot, which was great. The van pulled up right in the back of the Commons, outside the back part. And I wanted to do a special thanks for the chairperson, Julia Homan. She organized it, and it all came together really nicely. And then last Saturday, I'm sure everyone's interested about prom. We had it at the AC Marriott Hotel. They did a great job organizing it. They passed appetizers. They had Shirley Temples. It was very well put together. Also last Thursday, we had the college fair visit to Boston. There were over 200 colleges, and I heard good response from there. Students could walk around, get materials. And then also that same Thursday, I was one of the people who went on the FCL field trip to Cradles to Crayons. I think it was in Newtonsville, and we just sorted clothes to be kind of distributed to underprivileged kids in the greater Boston area. So that was a great opportunity. And then, yeah, that's all I had. So is there anything else that I could answer for you guys? Or?
No, that's a lot of great things.
And it was Anvi's, she's graduating in 2 weeks, I think. I don't know what the exact countdown is, but I wanted to say we will miss her, and she's going to NYU, if you guys didn't know that. So
We did, and you were perfect because I'll make sure that this gets to her. I'll drop it off at the high school tomorrow. But we have a little gift for her. She's been on the committee for 2 years and did a great job really working with us and updating. And NYU is amazing. She's a wonderful young adult, and we look forward to Anvita's future, really. Feels weird she's not here, so. But if she watches.
She'll see the video.
Yeah,
if
she'll
she
see
can't
the
watch
video,
right
I'm
now.
sure, but,
I'll tell her about
yeah,
it.
please do. And do you want responsibility?
yeah, I have a class.
Do you see you have a class with her?
Yes, I
All right.
do.
Is that easier?
Yes, in France.
Okay.
Thank you.
know we're missing the picture opportunity.
I
know. Riley.
You know I love a
to do
picture.
that at graduation.
That's
One of the
probably why
packets
she
down
didn't
there,
come.
please?
She knew.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
guessing,
Have
I'm
a good
guessing
night.
that's why she didn't come.
Thanks,
Riley,
Riley.
thank
Riley.
you. I got a picture, funny enough, well, never mind. She,
Get a
we
picture
got
of
a
our
picture
graduation.
last year at pre-prom party. We were at the same pre-prom party, and I was like, I made her pose with me, which was a lot for her, but awesome for me. She's just a great person. All right, human resources report. A lot going on, I bet.
Yeah, there's so much going on. As you just heard, this is just the craziest time of the year. My update will be short and sweet with not much news because you already know this, but it is Teacher Appreciation Week. And our parent community is absolutely killing it out in those schools. If you haven't seen the posts all over social media or been in the buildings, there is a delicious spread of treats everywhere to be seen. They get to get milkshakes and make your own succulents and all of those fabulous things. So huge thank you not only to our parent community for organizing those efforts, but obviously and most importantly to our teachers for all of the amazing work that they do every day. And tomorrow is School Nurse Appreciation Day. So we've got some special things planned for them as well. We're just, very thankful for all of our faculty and staff and how much they go above and beyond every day for our kids.
100%, yeah. I actually meant to mention that in the top of the meeting, so I'm glad you did. All right, future agenda schedule planning. So we have on the docket for the next meeting just a short reorg. I know we have the continuation of NESDEC. Do you guys want a longer meeting that time, or do you want to hold the NESDEC to the June meeting? I guess would be the question.
I think, well, when we talked about the May 28th meeting, we planned it for just the
Yeah.
reorg, so I'd say keep to that.
With everything going on, it's smart. Keep it
Yeah.
just a reorg.
Yeah.
Cool.
'Cause I think are we just doing that in Jay's office? Or are we doing it here? The 28th?
It's here. The
Oh,
reorg.
we haven't posted it, wherever you want.
It's been done in both.
I prefer it in here.
Yeah, I think it should be filmed and all that.
If we can get it. If it's a problem, then
Shouldn't be unless they start construction, but I think they went out to bid again on that.
So,
Okay. Amazing.
sounds good.
All righty, we have some minutes. This meeting was much quicker than I expected it to be.
Same.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I vote that the school committee approve the minutes of March 26, 2024 as presented.
Second.
Motion made second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? All right.
abstain. Sorry. I abstain.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy.
Yep.
All right.
Madam
Motion
Chair.
carries, sorry, I'll just, motion carries 401.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I vote that the school committee approve the minutes of the April 23rd, 2024 meeting as presented.
Second.
Motion made seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? All those abstaining? Okay, motion carries 302. All right, I think that's, do we have one more? I think that's it.
That's it.
I think that's it. Warrant?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move the committee accept warrant number 43 dated April 25th, 2024, in the amount of $270,898.02.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? All right.
Madam Chair, I move the committee approve warrant number 44 dated May 2nd, 2024, in the amount of $372,060.93.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? All right, motion carries. That's it for warrants, right? Just for two. All right, oh, and we have policy tonight. I'd like to ask the committee, when I added it to the agenda, there's actually 3 policies that we have, which are in the book. None of them are significant changes, so I'd like to, if possible, add the 3rd policy tonight, which would be AD, which is, our mission statement, which we are recommending that we just approve as reviewed. So it wasn't on the agenda, but as chair, I can add to the agenda as my discretion. So if it's okay with you guys, I'd like to add the mission statement AD. All right, and before we get going into policy, we've had some questions in the community about the changes and what's been going on with the transfer over, and Liz and I prepared just a quick overview summary to help educate everybody and make sure we're on the same page. Did you want that on the screen?
Yeah, is yours connected so that
I can connect it. I don't have the,
You do have it. It's in the drive.
it's
Oh,
in
it
the,
is?
yeah.
If it's easy, I can
do
also
it.
just share it with you. Thank you. Did I break it?
It's
I
warming
broke
up.
it.
it was coming.
We can also reverse, we can go over some of the policy and
Yeah,
then do
let's do
this
that
while
while
we're
this is
waiting,
I'll work on it.
just to be more efficient.
Do you want to introduce or?
Why
you
don't you
want
go
me-
right
Okay.
ahead?
So the 3 policies that we're presenting tonight, we basically just, as a policy committee, we met, we looked at them to see if we thought any changes needed to be made, other than the minor change to policy CB, which is just in line with our interest in making more equitable language in our policies. We changed his, her to their. But other than that, we didn't have any changes to recommend. This was policy CA, administration goals, which we recommend to be approved as submitted. We last reviewed this on January 26, 2021. The policy CB, school superintendent, because of the small change, we are presenting that as a first reading today. And then the mission statement, policy AD, we also don't recommend any changes to this, but just wanted to restate that we continue to approve the policy as reviewed.
And if there was a mission state, big policy, I would think that would come from a district. We would work together as a district, so I'd recommend that the school committee didn't just come up with a mission statement willy-nilly, but it is in our policy, so we're reviewing it.
Could we remove the periods at the end of every line in that list?
I bet we could, Amy.
That's,
Do you want to replace it with
I don't care.
semicolons?
Or comma, I don't care. It should not be a period. It could be nothing.
It should be
Do
nothing.
that.
Actually, I
Included
feel like
list.
AP just updated and said that you do put periods.
Got my entire career AP
AP
staff has
probably
been
also
done.
says you can do one space at the end of a sentence, and they could pry that out of my cold dead hands. That and the Oxford
That
comma.
one I've come around to.
Did you see
Periods at
the
end of
meme
a
where
list.
somebody was, I'm off topic. It's a funny meme about the AP.
I don't care what it is,
Yes.
it just shouldn't, I don't think it should be a period.
No, Amy, we absolutely can do that.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Does that change the?
I don't think
I
it
don't think it
changes the
does,
spirit.
spirit of it at all.
No, I think we
Yeah.
could still.
It just makes my heart happy.
Whatever we can,
That's sad.
whatever we can do to make your heart happy, Amy. Look, I'll do it
I
live.
saw that and I was like, why?
Yeah, it's like a poem
No,
or a haiku.
no.
Maybe we should look into it. Okay,
So,
awesome.
Can we vote on AD and CA together since there's no change to them really? Well, so,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so that this will be a final? Okay. So, Madam Chair, I make
Yes.
a motion that the school committee approve policy AD and CA as submitted.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? All right. Motion carries.
And Madam Chair, I also make a motion that the school committee accept policy CB, school superintendent, as a first reading. Second.
Motion been seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. All right, bring back a clean version of that. All right, I think Jay actually got it done very quickly, Liz. So the slide is up on the
All right.
screen. I'll let you talk through it, and I'm
Okay.
happy to jump in if you need me.
All right, so Laura's sort of introduced this slide. Let me get it up on my screen so that I can actually
Read it.
see my tired eyes. So this is just basic information about what the policy committee is, how it functions within the school committee, and also the role of the school committee with respect to policy, the role of the superintendent with respect to to policy. So just to clarify the roles, and obviously I know our members of the school committee know this, but this is more of a outward-facing message today, just to clarify some things. So the policies are developed by the school committee and implemented by the superintendent. What we did over the past year was to house policies on a MASC portal. Some of them are Grafton specific, like one of them that we voted on tonight, the mission statement, and some of them were adopted with the MASC form policy. Along the way, we have over the years adopted, in some cases, the same language as MASC policy, as school committee members know. So not everything changed when we made that switch. The school committee, and this is the policy, our own policy, and the Mass General Law that decides who is responsible for policy. The school committee is responsible for the development of policy as guides for administrative action and for employing a superintendent who will implement those policies. So again, just illustrates the different roles there. So the school committee nominates, we've used 2 members of the school committee to form a policy subcommittee. Often we bring in other members of the administration. Often we also, and I say we because past couple years, Laura and I have been on the policy subcommittee, but whoever's on the policy subcommittee often consults with other members of the administration and staff at times as needed. But it meets as needed to review policies that may require changes, then proposes those changes to the school committee. But the policy subcommittee does not have the power to vote or to make any changes. That is all done through the school committee. Some of the updates that we implement may correspond with updates in the law, but the other mission of the policy subcommittee and of the school committee in making policy changes is to carefully consider any changes because those changes have to be implemented. And, so we try not to change everything all the time because that can cause a lot of disruption. And like I said, only once they're approved by the school committee are they, once revised policies are approved by the school committee, are they made effective? And that's how it's done. Any questions or further clarification?
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of admin work with it, which
Yeah.
might have been, we have a very tight, we don't have our own, excuse me, sorry. We don't have our own school committee admin. So we've been doing it ad hoc. This is a full-time job. We have full-time jobs, parents, all of that. So our administration team has also helped to try to levy the load of updating. Normally, a school committee would just have a secretary to do that. We don't, because that's not an expense we're gonna have ever, I don't think, and shouldn't. But, so it's kind of ad hoc. So you got, Laura often emailing policies at Tuesday night at 9:00. So mistakes do happen. So, but once a policy exists, like if the internet went down, our policy would still exist. and the internet does go down sometimes. Before we had an internet, which I barely remember, the policies existed. So I think, any questions? Aim?
So what happens after we approve a change? You send it over to Lynn and it gets updated on the
No.
website?
We send it now over to Anne Marie at,
Sorry,
yeah,
before, you would send it
we
to
would
Lynn.
send it to Lynn. Lynn would call me, we would
Okay.
work it through, she'd have questions.
So I guess my question has more to do with how does the superintendent's office then implement that policy? Now that you're sending it over to MASC, who is sending it to Jay and who is sending it out to, for example, building principals? Or is there like a regular process that happens?
Yeah,
Right. I'm included on what goes to
Okay.
MASC.
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry, that was my watch.
Okay,
Okay.
that was good. All right, thank you. Thanks, Liz, for that clarification. Member reports. Anybody? Amy?
I did my second most favorite thing. I went into the middle school and I taught them municipal civics. They loved it. They didn't love it. It's okay. They learned about voting, how voting works. I told them what to expect at town meeting. So I hope those of you out there who are watching, who have eighth graders, please bring them with you to town meeting. Please do not drop them off. Come to town meeting, do your civic duty with your kids, but your kids have to sit in a separate section because no shenanigans. We went over the warrant a little bit, some of the items for them to look at to kind of try to get them a little more engaged. It was a good 2 days. I have so much respect for our teachers. I used to do it in 1 day. Maggie McShera, shout out to her. She made it work so I could do it over 2 days, which was much more my speed. So hats off to the eighth grade civics students. Hopefully we'll see lots of you at town meeting. I will be doing bingo for that, so come on out. We'll have bingo separately this time, I think. In jokes for the grown-ups and not in jokes for the kids. And they have been told not to yell bingo. We wouldn't want anybody to get thrown out of a town meeting because of that.
Yeah.
So it was a good time. I did want to put a quick plug out, if I may, for the final band concert, band and chorus concert of the year at the high school next Tuesday night. It's a great time.
An art show.
An art show. Yes, the art show. So the doors open at 6 for people to walk around the art show, and then we'll hear the chorus and the band and all the groups. And for a lot of these kids, we've got a good-sized musical senior class. This is the culmination of 4 years of work for them. They'll be entertaining us for free, and then they're off to Disney the following week to perform at Disney World. So good for them, good luck, and hope to see everybody at the concert. It's free. Please come.
That was fantastic.
What?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Did any kid, like, what came up? Like, did any kids have any questions about, did you get any
Are
questions?
you running for office?
Oh,
No. I would not be allowed to answer that question. Do you know the people who are running for office? Yes. Lots of questions about the ballots that I had to show them this time, because I feel very strongly, being also an election worker, that students need to see the process beforehand, because they come in, and every year I get a scared, literally quivering high school student that comes in by themselves. They've never been there, or they don't remember going when they were little, and the ballot is big and lots of capital letters, and it's very off-putting.
They're afraid to mess up.
And they're afraid to mess
Yeah.
up, so I tell them you can mess up 3 times, but read the directions.
I didn't know you could mess up 3 times.
You can mess up 3 times.
Awesome.
I wouldn't recommend it, though, because you're going to start to get some stares. Because we
Not
know
the
who
high
you
school
are.
kids, though.
No. I tell them, we're election workers are there to help you, but we can't help you too much. I can't tell you who to vote for. I can't tell you what party anybody is. I can't touch your ballot after I give it to you. And the sample ballots I had this time, unfortunately, were the primary ballots. So we did have an interesting discussion about how primaries work, because there are some adults in this town that don't remember how primaries work. And you only get 1 ballot. You don't get to choose unless you're unenrolled. So that we had a couple situations like that. But the students were very engaged. They made lots of great guesses about what's the difference between a city and a town. I talk about that, like why do we not have a mayor? Well, because we're not a city. Why is the mayor not the chair of the school committee? Because we're not a city. So we really do get into the nitty gritty. And then I show them the ballots and I talk about filling in the circles. Because now these kids
Right.
haven't filled in the circles
Right.
because they've been doing online MCAS.
Oh,
So they have no idea. Yeah, it's become a skill that you have to instruct them on. And again, no check marks. I always freak out when I see candidate signs, and I'm not targeting anybody ever, but I see them every season for every race. Somebody puts a check mark. No, because I get ballots like that, and the machine says no. So we talk about. I tell them about people who watch elections. Why I have to say your name out loud, even if I know who you are. If I'm checking you in, I have to say your name and your address out loud. That's the law. Why that is. In a primary, I have to announce which ballot you've taken. I mean, all of this is public information. The kids are like, what? I'm like, yes. It's part of the transparent democratic process. And they love it. They ate it all up. They had some really great questions about the school budget. They were very happy about the HVAC. We talked about capital versus operational. So I was a big hit this year because of the HVAC. So thank you, ARPA committee, and thank you, select board.
You're welcome.
I love doing it. I hope I get to go back every year.
I
It's-
love
it's-
that you
it's
do
great.
that, Amy,
I love
and
it.
you have such joy with it. So thank you for doing that.
Band concert is free.
And chorus concert.
And art show.
And art show.
Art show.
The art show is amazing, actually.
It
It's
is.
like a walkthrough. It's worth going just to see these students' art. Like, if, whatever, it's so cool. Anybody else for
Can I
Liz?
make some plugs?
Yeah,
The
of
school
course.
stuff.
Yeah.
It is, thank you for mentioning Teacher Appreciation Week this week in the high school. We are having Teacher Appreciation Tuesdays. And we had freshmen, parents, and caregivers bringing in stuff today, so thank you to all of them. Seniors are next week, then on the 21st, juniors and sophomores. So note to parents, caregivers, if you haven't seen any note from your class leaders, look out for that and you'll get more information soon. And thank you to everyone. Thank you to our teachers, faculty, staff, and everyone who works so hard every day. Senior class trip permission slips are due May 9th. And Bon Voyage permission slips are due Friday, May 10th. I just wanted to throw that out there to make sure as many people know as possible. And all of the kids can pick those up at the school. Let's see, what else is happening? And there's the last Bon Voyage meeting before the event on the 31st is Wednesday, May 15th at 6:30. Oh, and for parents sending 8th graders to DC, the luggage drop-off is 5 to 7 on May 21st. I'm just saying all this because there's a lot going on. I just feel like the more times people hear it, the better. So thanks for letting me throw that out there
Thank
today.
you. Leora.
And just a shout out to our sixth graders at North Street and Millbury Street who are all going to Nature's Classroom next week.
Next week
And
too?
yes, they leave on Monday and I'm still like, we can do things like that again. I'm still like post-COVID, like just really excited about that kind of stuff. It's a really big group. I love that they're going together. Millbury Street and North Street. I think that's exciting before they kind of all meet up at the middle school next year. So just wanted to, for many of our students, it's their first time leaving home without their parents. So just want to wish them well and hope they all have a great time. And parents who are sending your children off for the first time, we're with you.
Thank you to
They'll
the
be fine.
teachers.
And
Thank you to the
thank you
teachers who are
going.
spending
And
time away from
paras.
their families.
And a
and
number
paras,
of parents
yeah.
are going too to make it
They're
accessible.
leaving their families to
Yep.
do that for our kids, and I always marvel at,
Yep.
I know they love it, but it's a sacrifice, so we appreciate that.
And I am really thrilled that many, many of our students who receive special education services are going too. Like, it's really, the whole community's going, and it's really great. So,
I'm glad to hear that. It's a great program. Remember when you chaperoned, Jim? Yeah. Excellent. Rebecca.
I have one. I am not sure exactly when it starts and finishes, but pre-kindergarten screening is also taking place. We're like bringing in all the new kids, and I was able to go with my daughter last week to South Grafton, and they're making it just like so welcoming, and it's wonderful, and I'm excited to be able to do that all over again. So.
Awesome. I have a couple as well. I went last night, did double duty as a school committee member and a mom. I got to speak to the scholarship award winners as chair. It was just as Dr. Cummings said, it was a great night. And just so proud of all of our students. We will meet again before graduation, but we have Fun Fair coming up at North Grafton Elementary School on the 18th. So I recommend everybody to go check that out. It's a great,
Somebody's getting dunked, I think.
yeah, Mandy's getting dumped.
Somebody else is not.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping not to.
You got out.
You're not on the list.
Not on the list. You declined.
53.
Oh, is that it?
You graduated.
No, he's done it many times. We
Yeah.
have video.
Oh, I've done it too
I
much.
also have video.
I have also done it. So that's exciting. Town meeting was mentioned a little bit by Amy, but that's on the 13th?
13th. yeah,
13th?
Monday.
Monday the 13th. So that is when we approve our budget that we've been talking about for, feels like months. So it's a big night for us. So hopefully we'll all be there as well. And yeah, this is like a crazy time of year. And congratulations to all our graduates. I said to a few who were at my house post-prom, don't ruin anything for yourself. Be safe. You have the best times of your life ahead of you. So celebrate responsibly, please. All right. Any other member reports? That was good. Those were good member reports.
But Can I actually?
Sure, 'cause I gotta look
speaking of
for correspondence.
Keeping people safe and graduates safe, I just wanted, I'm not gonna name any specifically, but I just wanted to thank the community support for the Bon Voyage event. We got a tremendous response from people who were supporting the event, both financially and just with their time and with in-kind donations and things, and that's on May 31st into June 1st. It goes from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m., and it's a great event. They do it throughout the Commonwealth, and we were able to get a grant this year from Joseph Early.
Yep,
Who supports these kinds of lock-in events to keep kids safe on graduation night. So I just wanted to put in one plug for that event, and to, again, thank the community for the support.
Yeah, and they're gonna present that to Mr. Carney next week,
Oh, nice.
next Friday. So that's great. I got an email from them, so they'll be bringing, I hope, the big giant check. All right.
I've always wanted to hold one of those. I've never.
Oh, no?
Yeah.
You didn't get one?
It's one of my dreams. I got to judge a
Pinewood Derby.
Pinewood Derby for the Girl Scouts, and so I got to check that off. But I'm still gonna hold one of those big checks someday. Someday.
Keep dreaming.
Just mentioning it because you put it out there, and sometimes people make your dreams come true. So you never know.
All right, we have one piece of
Stop laughing at me.
We have one piece of correspondence that I'd like to, that was requested by the writer for me to read. Just to note, I don't actually read all correspondence that I get because a lot of times it's personal. So it's public record, but not necessarily, people don't want all of the information read at a public meeting. But this,
So you want to be clear, you don't read it out loud.
Yes.
You read it.
thank you, Leora. Obviously, I read it.
And if I could just quickly make a quick point of order, you're not required to read it out loud. You're only required to have it in the packet.
Yeah, I am, I agreed that I would do it, so I'm happy to do it. Nothing is, it's very transparent here. All right, good afternoon. Thank you, Mandy, for taking the time to meet with me today to review, so this was actually sent to Mandy Lape, and we were all copied. So, thank you, Mandy, for taking the time to meet with me to review the audit that Dr. Cummings requested I perform on the GPS 2024 Policy Manual. In February 2023, the Grafton School Committee voted for the Massachusetts Association of School Committees, MASC, to host their policies and adopt most of the MASC versions of the Grafton policies, with the exception of 82 policies from the MASC Reference Manual. This implementation took nearly a year to complete. On multiple occasions, the Grafton School Committee's Policy Subcommittee stated the MASC 2024 GPS manual was correct. The last instances of this were on April 9th, 2024 in an email, and on April 29th on social media. On April 9th, the superintendent's office took over this transfer of policy. At the request of the superintendent's office, I was asked to perform an audit to identify all issues pertaining to the transfer of GPS policy to MASC. These issues were to include missing policies, outdated policies, newly adopted policies, and the miscellaneous issues. Additionally, I was tasked with identifying coding changes. To the best of my knowledge, all coding changes have been identified. No coding changes were marked as missing or excluded from either policy manual. As I presented to your office today, the findings of this audit were as follows. GPS adopted 104 MASC sample policies that were not part of the GPS 2023 policy manual, meaning GPS has adopted policies that were never in existence at GPS and were not voted on to be accepted by GPS. MASC GPS 2024 policy manual is excluding 101 policies previously held by GPS, meaning we have a limited 101 policies that we once held. The list of 82 policies to be excluded from transfer to MASC have 44 issues that are broken down in the attached workbook. Again, please note that this audit was completed on April 30th, 2024. Any changes to the policy manual since then are not accounted for in this audit. Attached is a copy of the workbook showing a breakdown of each policy section and summary of the list of 82 policies on the exclusion list. Please note that 2023 policies are linked to the policy manual. To save time, you just need to click on the policy to pull it up. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you again for reaching out and having me assist you in this transfer. It has been a pleasure working with your office, and I hope we are able to continue to work together on fixing the issues that I've identified. And that is from Christy Kilabazinski. So thank you, Christy. Let's see, we do need to go into executive session.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that the school committee go into executive session for the purpose of discussing strategy with respect to collective bargaining and not to reconvene an open session,
Except to adjourn.
except to adjourn. Sorry, it just ended here, so.
I second the
All right,
motion.
motion made, seconded. This needs to be a roll call vote. All in favor?
Rebecca Soko. Aye.
Leora Brum, aye.
Amy Mar, aye.
Elizabeth Spinney, aye.
I was. Laura, I'm sorry. Laura Often, aye. All right, good night, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll see you at town meeting.